Madam Speaker, Mr. Vice Speaker, members of the Board of Chancellors, Council Steering Committee, members of the Council, and fellow RFS members. It is a privilege and an honor to stand here before you today to deliver the 2014 ACR Resident and Fellow Section Annual Report. It seems like just yesterday I was sitting in the seats out there listening to Matt Hawkins present his RFS report. And maybe it just feels that way because time flies when you're just having lots of fun. Or maybe it's because part of his message was orally retweeted by Dr. Blumberg in his presidential address yesterday. So before I begin to speak about all that we have accomplished this past year, the 22nd year of the RFS section, I cannot stress enough how grateful I am for the previous leaders of this section who built an assembly for residents and fellows to learn introductory concepts about economics, policy, advocacy, and community outreach, to broaden the intensive clinical training provided by our nation's finest institutions. I would like to acknowledge and thank the 4 past chairs who I've had the pleasure of working with since I attended my first AMCLC in 2010. Matt Hawkins, Wendy Ellis, Arun Krishnaraj, and Vanessa Ware. However, without the support of the current ACR leadership and leadership in years past, our section could have never grown to become the vibrant and thriving section before you today. Thank you. I would now like to acknowledge the 2013-2014 RFS Executive Committee. Though I'd like to take credit for most of what I have to present today, it has been the byproduct of their enthusiasm, creativity, and tireless efforts. Andy Moriarty, Ryan Brady, Neil Lal, Florian Fintelman, Lauren Mayo, Nate Margolis, Richard Sharp, and Matt Hawkins. And while mentioning tireless efforts, none of our ideas would have come to fruition without the help of Trina Madison, ACR staff. It was an extreme pleasure working with you all, and I'm honored to call you both colleagues and friends. So I'd like to begin by discussing what I consider the highlight of our efforts, the 2014 RFS Annual Meeting, which has taken place here over the past 2 days, with about 320 attendees from across the country, 22 residents running for leadership positions, 50 electronic poster presentations, and since this is 2014, countless tweets and mentions regarding our meeting. So what did we have new about this year's meeting? Well, for starters, we successfully implemented an RFS nominating committee to closer resemble the election process utilized in the council to ensure that residents from all across the country have the same opportunity to become involved in the RFS leadership. Looking back at the election process this year, I believe the committee was a true success. Earlier in the year, our education liaison, Florian Fintelman, recognized a problem that was being discussed back in his home state: how to teach the new ACGME economics milestones when many programs just don't have the faculty and the resources in-house to do so. As a result of his hard work, with the support of the Radiology Leadership Institute and the guidance of Dr. Jason Ittrey, this year's program featured the first ever RLI Economics Primer, moderated by Dr. McGinty, with lectures by Drs. Duzak, McGinty, Silva, and Thorworth. Not only will the residents in attendance be able to fulfill these requirements, but these lectures will be recorded and placed on our website in a webinar format so that residents all across the country can benefit from this educational offering. This year, one of our goals was to find ways to actively incorporate as many trainees as possible into the RFS program. Dr. Harry Jha has helped me accomplish this by moderating our second annual RFS debate involving Neil Lal, Mark Sharafinsky, Adam Kay, and Colin Segovis. Additionally, we had presentations on behalf of the RSNA from our liaison, Richard Sharp, the AMA from Travis Meyer, and the JCR from Christina Hoke, as well as a senior resident panel moderated by Matt Hawkins. And then lastly, we are grateful to continue to have the RFS reception, which for the first time this year was co-sponsored by the ACR, RSNA, and ARS, spreading the message of inter-society collaboration and leading by example. This year also saw continued growth in the RFS Journal Club due to the efforts of Dr. Geraldine McGinty. 7 times during the last year, over 30 residents dialed in after hours to participate in this program, which would not have been possible without all of the gracious hosts listed above who contributed their free nights to further our education. I'd also like to specifically plug our next journal club, May 15th, which will be hosted by Dr. Bill Thorworth on the topic of comparative effectiveness research. And we can accommodate all 320 attendees from the RFS section, so I hope to see you all on that call. Last year, Matt proudly announced the introduction of the International Outreach Subcommittee, chaired by Dr. Rebecca Gerber. This year, I'm pleased to provide an update on the accomplishments of that group, which has grown to include 9 very active subcommittee members. All of their accomplishments can be found on the website, which I consider a model for future subcommittees. I personally am looking forward to their upcoming JCR publication discussing global health imaging curriculum for residency programs. Over the past year, we have seen the RFS presence grow throughout the college thanks to the help of Drs. Ellenbogen, Allen, Applegate, and Harrington, along with the assistance of the Commission on Membership and Dr. David Kushner. As a direct result of our meetings, with the help of Brad Short, we have established a collaboration with the SoFi Loan Refinancing Program to help address the debt problem we face early in our careers. We even had a representative from SoFi stationed outside our RFS meeting these past 2 days to promote the program. We've also been working with Dr. Bluth and the Commission on Human Resources, along with the ACR Career Center, to identify some of the specific workforce issues facing graduating radiologists and working on ways to figure out how we can best prepare our members in training in light of the tight job market and new changes in the ABR board examination structure. The Young Physician section has continued to develop a YPS mentor network, making themselves available for RFS members looking for guidance during training and to help in the transition from residency to early career. The Council Steering Committee and Dr. Applegate in particular have made numerous efforts throughout the year to identify specific opportunities for trainee involvement. Dr. Cannon and the ACR 2015 Program Committee have sought RFS input to ensure that the RFS meeting will continue to thrive in the new and improved meeting format. And as in prior years, we continue to see numerous high-quality articles spearheaded by our members in the RFS column and in the other sections of the JACR. I'm also proud to say that RFS collaboration has occurred not only within the college, but also with numerous external organizations seeking trainee input, further demonstrating effective inter-society collaboration. So we've continued our relationship with the RSNA Resident and Fellow Committee, having representatives who serve on each other's executive committees. Rich Sharp and I are excited to see the fruits of our labor begin to blossom as we enter the second year of this initiative. We've also established a new bond with the AUR, who have invited us to help with the planning of their resident scholar program, along with the selection of award recipients. We've also begun to open the channels to our colleagues in Europe and their Resident Radiology Trainees Forum. They were kind enough to invite me to their annual meeting this year, and though I could not attend in person, we were able to have a productive meeting via teleconference. And we're grateful that one of their own, Dr. Minio, made the trip from Bucharest and is with us today here in Washington, D.C. Our Advocacy and Communications liaisons, Neil Lal and Nate Margolis, have continued the excellent job of reaching out to our members and continuing to spread the message of the college and our section. The Radiology Advocacy Committee has officially become part of the Radiology Advocacy Network and has grown to 140 members across the country representing their individual residency programs. A total of 250 members in training have opted in to receive the RFS Advocacy email compiled by Neil. And Neil was then able to use this network to reach out to members in training specifically during the March Madness RadPack campaign. Nate has continued to spread the message on Twitter to the 395 followers of the RFS account and has strengthened our collaboration with the ACR Press and Bulletin, while our radiation oncology representative, Lauren Mayo, has continued to reach out to our colleagues with dedicated e-news content and program planning. For those of you who'd like to see firsthand how effectively this group has been at spreading the message, I invite you to visit the electronic poster submissions for this meeting, and in particular, Imaging 3.0, How Radiology Trainees Can Add Value, by Nate Margolis, Robert Mackey, Amar Sarwar, and Florian Fintelman. With that, I would like to introduce the new 2014-2015 RFS Executive Committee. Chair, Andy Moriarty, Vice Chair, Neil Lal, Secretary, Amy Patel, Advocacy Liaison, McKinley Glover, Education Liaison, Tarath Patel, Radiation Oncology Representative, Jolint Dalin, Communications Officer, Taj Katapuram, and our first ever elected nominating committee, Alex Mazzono, Henry Williams, and Ashley Prosper. Congratulations, and I have no doubt that the section will thrive under Andy with this newly elected group. So with that, I'd like to close my time as chair by briefly recounting my first day serving as secretary of the RFS years ago. That first Monday afternoon, Kurt Shoppy, Matt Hawkins, and I met in McClellan's to formulate a plan to grow the RFS we ultimately called the Leadership Development Initiative. Now, for the record, this was before the RLI existed, so we weren't just trying to copy their name and their plan. But we began trying to create a catchy slogan to help pitch the initiative and garner support. And after some brainstorming, we thought we figured it out. 4 years in the RFS, 40 years in the ACR. We thought it was kind of catchy and an investment the college might even consider. But as members of the RFS today, we're truly grateful for the support the college has provided, and we are proud of the contributions we've provided in return. believe we are an active and engaged section, and I believe a truly integral component of the college's membership. And if we were sitting up in McClellan's today having that same discussion, I would never have considered distinguishing between the RFS and the ACR. Today, the slogan would be 50 years in the ACR, period. So I thank you all for sharing your time with us today.